Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be going through language paper 1 question 3. We're focusing on the Alex Cold extract and I've attached the link in the video description. So once you've had a read of the extract, when you're looking at it from a structure perspective, so question 3 is always 8 marks. You should aim to write between 2 to 3 paragraphs. And it's always good to focus on the beginning of the text and then talk about how it develops and then something to focus on at the end. So if we look at this extract, I'm just going to pick out some areas of interest. So at the beginning, Alex is awakened and he's experiencing a nightmare. So this is how the extract starts with. Then we get into the details of this dream, and then he sees that in the dream, his mother is taken away. And we find out later on that his mother is suffering with an illness. Yeah, so that's at the beginning. Then as we kind of approach the middle, we see a development. We see this idea of the bird that's within his dream. And then this has really affected Alex the next morning. And then him and his sister have this sort of conflict where they're constantly arguing with each other. So there's this dialogue, this conversation happening. So there's a lot here that you can talk about. So the focus here changes from Alex at the beginning, the dream at the beginning or the nightmare. Then it changes to his family, how his family is being affected by these events. So remember in question 3, you want to be talking about chronological development. You want to talk about the shift in focus. Dialogue is 1. So whatever you do choose to focus on, you have to mention the effect of that. So as we can see here, Alex is being affected greatly by what has happened to his mum. As we reach the end of the extract or get towards the climax, we find that Alex is really struggling because his dad's taking on this role within the family. The routine within the household has completely gone. So they're really affected by the presence of their mum. And here, again, it mentions on line 35. So he comes to the realization of actually how much value does the mother have within the home. So we start to feel a sense of sympathy for Alex. And compared to what was mentioned in the beginning about the nightmare, as we reach the end, we now have many layers of meaning. And this has been done effectively by the writer through the build-up of the key events, through the build-up of the description, and by constantly zooming into different focuses, we're getting a greater insight into Alex's struggle. And then the focus shifts again to ending. As we reach the ending, changes to his mother. So he starts talking about how he misses his mother. We've got the exact details of what he misses about her. So her music, her flowers, her general presence. And then it focuses back to the actual mother. And then he says, now she barely got out of bed to walk through the rooms with a confused air. And then mentions how his mother seemed to have drunk. She was little more than a silent ghost. So this contrasts to the beginning where the focus was on the nightmare, the bird taking Alex away, whereas now at the end we see the focus is on the mother and her presence within the household. So you always need to look at what are the key events, what is being described, how is this description changing as the extract is developing. So that's a lot to navigate within the time you have because you need to be writing your response within 12 minutes. So you need to train yourself to read these extracts very fluently, constantly making notes, understand the question, and be ready to attack a structure question. So let's look at my model answer. So going to read this out, and as I'm going through it, I'm just going to highlight some points of reference that you should be doing in order to get closer to that grade 9. So at the start of the extract, the writer focuses closely on Alex as he awakens from a vivid nightmare in which his unwell mother is carried away by an enormous blackbird. This immediately creates a sense of fear and uncertainty. So we've got those keywords mentioned at the beginning. We've got sentences like at the start of the extract. We've got focus points. So these are structure terminologies. Then it says it symbolizes for Alex his deepest anxieties about his mother's fate. The use of the blackbird coupled with the nighttime setting reinforces an ominous and foreboding tone. So we're still examining this atmosphere at the beginning. The darkness of the setting mirrors the looming threat over Alex's life, suggesting that his mother's condition may worsen. So we've got that sense of foreshadowing there as well. The reader, feeling sympathy for Alex, is drawn into his emotional turmoil. So now we've got the effect. So what impact do these devices have? So very often, when students answer this question, they fail to talk about the effect of the structure techniques. So here it's being done very explicitly. So it's drawn into his emotional turmoil and left questioning whether his mother will recover, adding tension to the narrative, adding this sense of conflict that underlines and underpins everything. Then we've got the second point. So this is now a different point in the narrative. The focus then shifts in the second half of the text to Alex's interactions with his family, where his frustration becomes evident. When his sisters mention Mama's going to die, Alex reacts angrily, snapping at them. This reaction highlights his feelings of helplessness. So how is it affecting Alex? What structure choices are being made? Why are they being made? These are the questions that we should constantly be reflecting upon. And inability to confront the reality of his mother's illness. So we're seeing how the structure, the narrative is developing. The juxtaposition, so now we've got another method here between the nightmare in the first half and Alex's outburst in the second half effectively links the two sections of the text. The nightmare, just coming to this one, you want to be thinking about the connections within the narrative. What are the connections? Have they been done deliberately? What impact does it have? The nightmare foreshadows Alex's fears becoming reality, and his retort to his sister shows how deeply those fears affect him. So we see that fear is an underlying idea that is constantly weaving itself through the narrative. And we've again got the terminologies, foreshadows, juxtaposition, the impact, the effect of these devices are examined. Now we read the last bit. Remember, you don't need to write 3 paragraphs. This is just an example that has been put together. So the last paragraph, what we're doing is we're drawing upon the entire structure and now connecting what we've said. By weaving these two moments together, the writer emphasizes Alex's emotional struggle and his lack of control over the situation. Just like at the beginning, when he's having the nightmare, he hasn't got control over what he sees. So this is an underlying depiction that comes throughout the extract. The reader, understanding the nightmare's significance, can see how it reflects Alex's inner conflict and fear, making his anger more relatable. Through this structure, the text deepens our empathy, for Alex and builds tension about what might happen next. Because it's as though Alex has reached a breaking point in his life. He doesn't know how to navigate from these problems. Yeah. So as you can see, we've got a lot of subject terminology there. There's a clear analysis of the structure. Any method, technique that's mentioned, you need to state the effect of that. And you need to, whilst you're reading, have a really good understanding of what is actually happening in the extract. What are the key moments? How are these moments developing? And what does it mean for us as the reader? So I hope you found that useful. And I'll be going through more examples for question 3, question 4. A lot of students are finding great difficulty with the language papers. So I'll be going through these questions and showing you lots of examples, modeling how to answer them. So I hope you found that video useful, and I'll see you again soon. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you found it beneficial.